All right, just wanted to make a quick video for anybody considering buying a limo. First off, I know mine is in really bad shape. It is. I don't drive this anymore. It's off the road. What happened with this limo is the same thing that happens with a lot of limos, is they're not kept inside and they're not taken care of, especially on the coast. You get the salt and you don't do the underbody wash and get rid of the salt, and it eats through and rusts. What happened in this case with this limo is that it was kept outside, so when it would rain, the rain would soak through the landau top and then it would just sit in between the metal and the landau top. When a company goes and makes a limo, what they do is they get the car from the manufacturer. So they get the town car and then they literally chop it in half. Okay, so here's where they chopped. You can see here's where they chopped, and then here's where they chopped. So what they do when they chop it and they extend it, everything in between the two halves, here, let me switch to panoramic. There we go. Everything between the two halves is manufactured by the limo build. You've got different companies, Cristal, US Coachworks. This is a US Coachworks. Dozens of limo builders. They don't have giant factories. So what happens is Ford, when they paint their car, they dip it and they get that gray primer, the good stuff. This stuff right here. Okay, so they dip their frame in the tank, and they have, the EPA has very strict standards on those primers. You can see over here, you know, but then there's rust where it's been disturbed, where they put this on. So anyways, so this stuff is the good primer. The EPA has strict standards on it, so that you have to have atmosphere reclamation, recovery tanks, and all this stuff when you paint. So that's why the outside of the car hardly has any rust except for where it's been disturbed and then the inside of the car, the primer that the limo builders use is over the counter or not as high quality, like, you know, AutoZone kind of stuff, because these people that do limo builds, they don't have hundreds of thousands of square feet of factory space. They're smaller outfits. So just wanted to go into that. That's why every limo you see, the center is usually rusted out, but the front and back are usually fine. That being said, I also want to mention that when you buy a limo, expect everything in the center to break or be broken. So those things, the centers, limos are a classy kind of thing, but they're only meant to be on the road for 5 years before a new one is bought. It's hard to have a long-term limo on the road. This one lasted so long because the town car look was iconic, and the front grille only slightly changed, and then it stayed the same for years and years and years. But you can look at other newer limos and understand that, oh, that car came out, you know, the LTZ came out on this year, so that's the newest and latest limo to have. But the town car look stayed the same, and then they quit making them. And a lot of people can't tell the difference between one town car and the next, what year they are and that kind of stuff. This is a 2000, and I operated this one up until 3 years ago, I think. 2017, 2014, yeah. I quit. I ran it a little bit when I was, 2014, 2015 is when I quit running it. So another word on the center section. What they did in the engine compartment is they added an extra alternator and rerouted the diagram, and they put the extra alternator to run the back, but they didn't do anything extra for the AC compressor. So I've always had trouble with the AC, especially being in Tucson, Arizona. The AC, you know, it's designed to, it's impossible to cool. I'll tell you that. That AC system was designed to run a regular town car, and what they did is they pretty much tripled the capacity of the AC system. They tripled the capacity of the AC system. So you put 10 people in here. This is a 10 passenger, 8 in the back, 2 in the front. You put 10 people in here and they're screaming and yelling and exhaling all this acoustic energy when they exhale because they're drunk. It's impossible to cool this thing down. So that's something you've got to be aware of when you buy a limo, is that the AC system is not designed to handle hot temperatures in the desert. You need to pre-cool it. One of the ideas that I once had was that there's a lot of room under here. Okay, there is so much room in here that I could have put in a portable AC unit, to where basically I was going to cut a hole here and just have some vents coming up, and then I was going to cut a hole in the very bottom of the limo and have that's where the heat duct would come out. And so I would have an extra AC unit, and I was going to have it to where I could plug that into an electrical system to cool the limo down before I'd leave the shop. Because the other thing that you're fighting when you are trying to cool a limo down before a fair is that you've got dual exhaust running under the floor. And yeah, you've got some insulation and stuff, but you're trying to cool this vehicle down while at the same time you've got all this heat radiating up from the floor. It's just not easy. Another problem with limos, you can see right here, this carpet is messed up. What it is you look down the line, all the girls will sit, and then their heels will just dig in, and so their heels just like dug the crap. That's why it's like a perfect line. See how it's a perfect line where it's been worn out? It's because the girls sit and they just dig in. So I'm going to show you something else too. So like if you think about buying a limo, what you want to do is you want to check the bottom. Obviously you can see on this one, it's all messed up. What happened with this one is I was sitting at a fair. I was doing an all-night fair, and it was raining, and I dropped the passengers off at the bar. This is back when the Landau top was on. It looked nice. Yeah, we had a little bit of rust coming out, but I mean, as long as I washed it, it was shiny. Nobody really noticed all the problems. What happened was I was sitting at this fair, dropped them off at the bar, said, okay, I'll be around the corner waiting. Go around the corner, turn the car off, and I'm reading a book. It's nice to be paid, $1 or $2 a minute to sit and read. Anyways, I heard a drip, 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 like water in a bucket. And I'm like, where is that coming from? And it was raining, obviously. What it was is all of this stuff on the opera lights that used to be here. These seals were gone. What's going on? Sorry. I don't know if you can see in here, but it was dripping from where the opera lights are into the floor pan that runs the entire length of the limo. You can kind of see how much room is in here. Wonder if I can turn on the light. Oh, there we go. So it was dripping from where the opera lights are, and then it was just sitting in the floor pan. And basically what happened with this limo is it rusted from the inside out. See the daylight right there? See how much room is in here? So you could definitely put an AC unit in, or smuggle some stuff, who knows. But yeah, so this limo, the rust on the bottom, it rusted from the inside out. The rust everywhere else was from it soaking through the Landau. So that's something that if you want to buy a limo, scoot the driver's seat forward or the passenger seat, and this covers This covers up the control panel, but take the control panel cover off and look inside the walls and see if there's rust. I mean, that whole thing was full of an inch of water before it broke out the bottom. And then also my divider's broken because my idiot friend tried to roll it up while there was a backpack sitting up here and just shattered the plexiglass. So that's something else you got to watch out for. Another tip that I would recommend that I did not do, but I would recommend doing. All these controls, mount a piece of plexiglass over it and drill tiny holes where every button is to where you need a paper clip to run it. Or you can take the plexiglass off for responsible customers. I would pull up to so many fairs and the relays are up in the front in that control panel. I'd be driving the fair and I'd just hear relays, click, 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 click. And my eye would just start to twitch because people were back here just going, what does this do? What does this do? You know, every single time I would drop people off, I'd have to get out, come around to the back. Oh, let's not have the heater and the AC on at the same time, because they would do that and it would get sweaty in here because the heater's running, the AC's running out of the same thing. It's fighting each other. Of course, the heat usually wins in the desert, but I would recommend hiding your control panel or having a piece of plexiglass and you drill holes over each button so that somebody if you have a responsible regular customer, they just have a paper clip they can stick through to hit the buttons or maybe even remove the thing. But everybody would just sit here and just hit buttons. They're drunk. They're like a bunch of toddlers. The other problem I had is people didn't realize that the deck was in the back. I had one girl, I almost kicked her out. She was hitting me in the back of the head every time the guy in the front or the guy back here would change the song, and she'd hit me in the back of the head. No, go back. And then the guy would hit another button up back here, and then she'd hit me in the back. No, that was a good song. Why are you changing it? And I'm just like, I had to pull over and rip her a new one. I was like, lady, stop hitting me. I'm trying to keep 8,000 pounds of limo and stupid on the road in a straight line. You touch me again, you're walking. The deck is in the back. Yell at him. They were quiet for the rest of the ride home. So, and then also, if you're wondering why it's got gray doors, I have another town car that I got for parts, and when we were gonna redo the paint job and everything, I swapped the doors out because they had zero rust on them as opposed to the other doors. We were gonna do a Rhino bed liner on the top and repaint the sides, but it's just too far gone. So it's this limo's for sale too. Hit me up in the descriptions. It's also listed on the Craigslist in Tucson, and it is November 11th, I believe, 2017. So thanks for watching. Just a few things to keep in mind when you buy a limo. Also, one problem that I've really run into is where to keep it. Right now it's in my buddy's backyard, and he's kind of getting tired of it being back here, but I don't have anywhere else to put it. So that's another big expense. If you want to get into the limo business, you need to have a place to keep it, preferably indoors, already locked down, that you don't have to pay an absorbent amount of money for, because that's a lot of limo businesses. They go down because they have to buy all this warehouse space to keep their nice limos inside, and commercial property, it's not cheap. It's really expensive here in Tucson. It's like $4 a square foot. Do the math on what it would cost to keep this for a month, and nobody calls for a fare. I mean, imagine if this was nice and perfect. Nobody calls for a fare. You just spent all that money. You can't make the phone ring. So that's one of the reasons I'm kind of getting out of the for-hire transportation business. So, well, thanks for watching. Hope it wasn't too long-winded and I didn't ramble on too much, but just a few things to consider when you purchase a limo. It's not so much what's in the engine compartment, but it's what's in between the two halves. Make sure to inspect it thoroughly. All right, have a good day, everybody.